Welcome to the latest episode of GNV Next, a half-hour look at the City of Gainesville's citizen-centered initiatives, programs, events, and people. I'm your host, Bob Woods. This is an exciting time for Gainesville, a city that is leading a movement and reinventing what the new American city looks like. We'll chat with City Commissioners Helen Warren and Harvey Budd on a broad range of city issues. We'll take a look at a day in the life of a city employee in our Traffic Operations Department. And we'll visit one of the city's many beautiful nature preserves. This and much more. But first, let's take a look at the economic impact of two of Gainesville's premier cultural events.
The Downtown Festival and Art Show celebrates its 36th annual event this year. We've been doing it downtown, turning the historic streets of downtown Gainesville into this beautiful two-day art event. The Downtown Festival and Art Show brings in over 17,000 out-of-county visitors that come to Gainesville just for this art festival, which with our current arts and economic formula, it's actually 2.2 million between out-of-county visitors and local visitors that attend this event. This year's Hogtown is going to be the last weekend of January, first weekend of February, so it's January 27th and 28th, and February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. A lot of our participants return each year because it is such a wonderful fair. The people that come our patrons are fantastic, and everyone has a really enjoyable experience. The Hogtown Medieval Fair brings in about 1.2 million in economic impact between the out-of-county visitors and the local visitors. We start working on the fair about a month after the previous fair. So March, we start getting ready to send out our applications to our participants for the following year. We even have participants, our merchants, that come to us the last day of fair, and they're ready to go ahead and sign up for the next year. That's how excited they are to do this. So it takes a full 11 to 12 months to pull off Hogtown.
Today, we are very fortunate to be joined by Commissioner Helen Warren, Commissioner at Large for the City of Gainesville. Welcome to the show today, Helen.
Thank you very much.
And we're so excited to have you here, ma'am. You know, we just finished watching a presentation of two of the city's premier cultural events. And, you know, we know that the arts and cultural industry here in the City of Gainesville generates somewhere on the order of $100 million annually. That's really a large number. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what enables us to be able to do that. I know we have a number of initiatives that were recently passed by referendum, wild spaces, public places. So can you tell us a little bit about how the funds generated through that program actually help stimulate economic activity?
Well, I think part of it is the leadership that we've had for a long time that has recognized Parks and Recreation and cultural affairs as an important element of this city. And we recently had the election that supported putting the tax on wild spaces and public places. And we promise as a city commission to put that fund back into the community. And I think one of the really exciting things, in addition to the cultural affairs, is what we're going to be doing for Citizen Field. That is an old facility. It's used by all the high schools and other activities, and we're going to make that into a model for a new community civic center for the football games and other uses. And then also we're talking about something at Depot Park with the amphitheater. So that's an evolving plan. Now that we've gotten the basic foundation of Depot Park, then we've got the old RTS facility that we're trying to create that dream of what's the best use back to the community. And especially with the recent death of our Gainesville son, Tom Petty, music is recognized as being an important element of what makes Gainesville wonderful. And we're looking at doing an amphitheater. I'm not going to say who we're going to name that after at this point. That has to be part of a conversation too. But
sure.
It'll just really broaden the opportunities for people to get out and enjoy, the beautiful weather we have here in Gainesville, and the cultural talent and the musicians.
And when you think about all of the other amenities that are located at Depot Park, you know, there's food amenities out there. We've got a beautiful children's park out there. We've got some natural settings out there, man-made water features. And to top it all off, we've got the Cade Museum also located out there. So what a wonderful facility and place to put a new multi-purpose facility.
It really is exciting to see what's happening in the whole downtown area. And then taking that Main Street corridor to South Main, we've got a lot of plans, but just, you know, with road design too, that'll facilitate everybody's access to see how beautiful this part of the city has become. But most importantly, coming back to the Wild Spaces Public Places funding, People have spoken, and we're responding by putting it back to the community in ways that they can use it, because when you work, you've got to have a place that you can get out and play and enjoy that downtime. And for families to come together and show the place off to their friends, we're just really proud of where the city is taking its position on providing economic and recreational uses.
Now, you know, Commissioner, I happen to know that you're a big advocate for families, and you know, certainly there are families in our community that quite frankly are struggling. There are a lot of families that find themselves in conditions of unemployment, sometimes being homeless, and of course, I know you've been very active in standing up Grace Marketplace. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
We do know that there are areas that need to be lifted up. And back in the early 2000s, a 10-year plan was organized with members from the community to look at how to put a stop to homelessness. And it's recognized that we're not going to stop homelessness as a social function or social problem, but each individual that we can get back into housing or keep families in housing and not become homeless is a crucial strengthening of the social fiber of this community. Mm-hmm. And this town has been looking at ways to get people rapidly rehoused. Rapid rehousing recognizes that when people become homeless, the longer they're out of the home, the harder it is to find placement. So rapid rehousing would provide funds to assist families getting back into housing if they need assistance with security deposits, mm-hmm. paying the utilities, mm-hmm. all those things that are barriers often for people to be able to get back into housing. There will be assistance available for them, and maybe for 6 months, or depending on each individual case, what is needed to get that family stable while they then have housing, get back to finding a job, and then can be released from case management services. So that's a rapid rehousing element. There's another element of housing people who are chronically homeless called permanent supportive housing. And that recognizes that some individuals need more than 6 months to stabilize their housing. And in some cases, it may be something that they need for years. At some point, if the individual finds themselves stable, they can certainly say, I'm in recovery, I'm okay, I don't need the help anymore.
Well, I know that it's been a very successful partnership between the city and the county in addressing those needs. There's much work to be done. I'm sure that partnership will continue, but I wanted to shift gears in our final moments to talk about a new partnership that is with the City of Gainesville and the University of Florida that recently came about as a result of the city and the university signing a memorandum of understanding. And specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're getting students involved in that whole process.
That is one of the real exciting things. As a student at the University of Florida, I looked at how is the university being engaged in the community for the learning process, and that was back in '78. We are now seeing that the University of Florida is reaching out to be involved in those ways. That they had a recent event down in the Porters neighborhood mm-hmm. where university students worked with students in the elementary level in identifying problems in their community and engaging those young people in conversations. And I think that's one of the things that if we can get young people to realize they can be part of the solution to what every community has, and that they're walking around every day seeing things, and if they can say, there's a problem, here's a solution, then they don't have to wait for a college degree to start finding out how they make their community better. So to see, that's one way that the university is engaging in the community. We've gotten some internships in the city's department with other individuals getting work experience. Mm-hmm. And when you get, as a university student, work experience and real life problems, you can take that on your resume and go anywhere.
Commissioner Warren, I want to thank you so much for appearing on the show today. It's always a joy to speak with you, and I always learn something when I speak with you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My name is Emmanuel Posadas. I've been with the city 2 years, since July of 2015. My responsibilities include signs and markings, traffic operations and traffic signals, traffic management, parking operations, and also parking enforcement. The traffic management system, thank goodness for Phil Mann and Matt Wiseman. They built this traffic management system and we expanded it. We now have 238 traffic signals. Each one of those traffic signals has a CCTV camera. And we also have about 106 miles of fiber optics throughout the city. We use our cameras to verify if there's a broken down vehicle or traffic accidents and we inform citizens through our Twitter feed and also through 511. Something I'm very excited about is our partnership with the University of Florida and the Florida Department of Transportation regarding connected and autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles is different from connected vehicles. Connected vehicles is being able to connect to information, and information can be a series of many things. It could be information from our cameras, information about travel time, information on what the traffic signal is doing ahead of you, how long your delay time is. So that's connected vehicles. Autonomous vehicles, on the other hand, are driven by an AI algorithm, which is artificial intelligence algorithm or a machine learning algorithm, which the vehicle learns to drive by itself. Our partnership includes a testbed. So DOT provides local knowledge on the immediate area, some systems and platforms that we can start utilizing, like you see the one behind me, while UF provides the wisdom, the knowledge, and just the different professionals. And it's a multidisciplinary approach. So it's an excellent combination between DOT, UF, and the City of Gainesville. One of the first autonomous vehicle that is traveling on public streets will be the autonomous bus, and we hope to see it as early as next May. Gainesville is recreating itself by asking difficult questions and how we will respond to those questions. It's great that we're thinking of a way to respond to those questions, because how we think is how we will be in the future. We are what we think. And it's nice to work for an agency where ideas win out.
Still to come, a conversation with City Commissioner Harvey Budd about the new changes in the city's Department of Doing and his plans to encourage development in East Gainesville.
Riding the RTS bus with Mom was great. The friendly greeting from the driver, beautiful memories of holding Mom's hand. I loved the bracelet she made, the excitement of watching the world go by. Who would have thought that I would continue that tradition through college, getting to class hassle-free? And now that friendly driver and I are a bit older, as I get to my job stress-free, I'm reminded of my mom's hand on mine. Still wearing that bracelet, still riding the bus. Growing up RTS.
Evergreen Cemetery Association of Gainesville, in partnership with Visit Gainesville, provides a unique cultural experience for the community at historic Evergreen Cemetery. Established in 1856, this 53-acre landmark is the final resting place for many of this region's historic figures and families. Visitors can wander amidst towering oaks and lush foliage and listen to a 38-stop interpretive cell phone tour of this heritage destination. Learn more at thiswondrousplace.org.
We live in the Sunshine State, so why aren't you protecting yourself from the damaging rays of the sun? Now, when you visit City of Gainesville parks and other facilities, you can block the sun and not the fun with free sunscreen. Bright yellow sunscreen dispensers are now available in many locations in the city. Want to know where? Then visit the City of Gainesville Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs website and click on the Find a Park or Facility button. Remember, make SPF your BFF.
My job with the city is I serve as the Economic Development and Innovation Director, and in that capacity I really have a wonderful job because I basically work with folks who are at different levels of business creation or business formation to help them facilitate their businesses in town. We have an enterprise zone program here in the city. It's comprised of about 10 square miles of the city. And that enterprise zone lies predominantly in downtown Gainesville and then also on parts of the east side of Gainesville. It is a program that was originally developed by the state of Florida, and the city has had that enterprise zone in place for about 20 years. More recently, a few years ago, the state of Florida decided to sunset the program at the state level, but the city has continued to maintain it at the local level. And what it affords business right now is basically 50% reduction in fees that they would normally have to pay the city associated with either a site planning process or some other development review process. We're looking at making the enterprise zone more robust and also growing the size in order to try to build a greater level of incentive for businesses to grow and expand or possibly be attracted to the enterprise zone. I work cooperatively with the Department of Doing on development review, and it's my role to help shepherd projects through the development review process. And one of the things that they've done recently is they've tried to become more technologically sophisticated in how they develop plans, and we're doing more electronic plan review.
Starting May 1st, we implemented a full e-plan review. We call it Project Docs, and now all building permits that come in are done through an electronic review. So the input that I heard when I came on board was the review time was anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Our goal in this process is to have a 15-day turnaround for all building permits, and consistently we've been able to meet that goal.
And so it's not only a question of the means, which is the electronic plan review, but it's also the approach that we're taking, and the approach is getting them to yes.
Today on GNV Next, we're very pleased to have joining us Commissioner Harvey Budd, at-large commissioner for the City of Gainesville, and he's going to talk to us a little bit today about the Department of Doing and his perspective on that, as well as his plans for redevelopment in East Gainesville. And so welcome to the show today,
Thank you very much for having me.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about the Department of Doing and some of the wonderful things that are taking place in that department. I was hoping to get your perspective on that.
Well, we started out, we had a blue ribbon committee, and then they were coming up with big ideas that would change the City of Gainesville, the perception of the City of Gainesville. And one of the big ideas was to have change the Department of Planning into the Department of Doing. And so we've hired a woman named Wendy Thomas, who's running the show over there. Wendy brings a light to where there wasn't a light before. She is a wonderful communicator. And what she's done is turn the whole thing around. She's created an atmosphere that's user-friendly, citizen-centered. By the way, the key element here is citizen-centered, to provide a service to the community that wasn't there before. Instead of rejecting projects, they work with people to say from a no to a yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very critical in today's world. Everybody's used to getting no's, and it's nice to know you can actually get a yes.
So what is she saying yes to? Some of the projects, the kinds of things that she's doing?
What they do is, and what's interesting, they opened the building up. They created a whole new atmosphere. First, they changed the lobby. When you walk into by the way, the Department of Doing is in the Thomas Center, on the east side of the Thomas Center. Most people don't even see it when they go to the Thomas Center. And in that office, they have a concierge service, like the concierge doctor, concierge service. And that answers a lot of questions and solves a lot of problems right away without even having to go to talk a planner.
So this goes back to that notion of citizen-centered.
And they changed the hours. In fact, they changed it from early in the morning, 7:30, till like 5:30 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. Now, the key element here is Monday through Friday. Most things closed in the City of Gainesville on Thursday. We've changed that. The Citizen Center has brought the city itself to a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday service. Most people don't know you can come down to City Hall, and it'll be the same City Hall on Monday as it is on Friday. So back to the Department of Doing. We used to have a process where you bring in a project and it says first step. And it was first stop. And you would bring it in and nothing would happen.
Yes,
and you'd be disappointed. You'd walk away with your tail between your legs and say, gee, I don't want to do this anymore. Now it truly is first step. She makes sure from a no you get a yes. And that's very critical. In fact, I've talked to a number of people who have used the service, and they've been very helpful. They kind of help you redesign the project so it meets all the codes.
Well, that's fantastic. And speaking of building in the City of Gainesville, you know that there's been an ongoing concern about development in East Gainesville. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, one of my issues that when I ran, I realized that there is no new shopping center. There's a lot of rehabbing of old shopping center. Maybe the Walmart was the latest addition. But we really don't have any true shopping centers. People have to go to Main Street or beyond, and they feel discriminated against, shopping-wise. And it's really hard. I'm not a developer. I wish I was a developer like that. So I have to find people who want to develop. So one of my first missions was we had a group in that wanted to open a series of gas stations around Gainesville, and I pointed out to them the best place to build was in East Gainesville because of the high traffic on Waldo Road and East University Avenue.
Very, very highly used corridor.
Right. Well, it turns out Wawa, which is, I didn't know it's a big deal, but they apparently are a big provider of the cheapest gas in Florida. They are the #1 cheap gas station.
Well, that sounds good to me. Are they coming here to Gainesville?
They are coming, and I think their first project is going to be at University Avenue and Waldo Road. Somewhere in that corner, they're going to build their first location in Gainesville. And we only wish them success. Now, it's a little slow getting off the ground because we're redoing the development code to make it simpler. But what I've heard is they're ready to go once the development code is passed, and hopefully that will make it easier for people to develop. The second project I've been working on, and I had some clients when I was in my accounting days, called Jones Edmonds, and they're a very big engineering firm, and they're located on Waldo Road and Northeast 8th Avenue. So they own a combined 7.5 acres on that intersection, Waldo, 8th Avenue, across from the park. And what we're trying to do with work with Trimark and John Fleming is hopefully redevelop that whole park, that whole 7.5 acres, into a major shopping center. We'll need anchor tenants, we'll need a lot of support from the community, and probably need rezoning. But if we can carve out a 7.5 acre parcel, we can create a shopping center that will really serve the community.
One of the issues with sort of redevelopment projects of this type, obviously, is funding them. So do you have any ideas about how that could occur?
Well, one of the first things that I noticed, and I noticed this about areas where there's high unemployment, that there is a program set up by the federal government called EB-5. And I was fascinated by it. If you put up $500,000, you could get a green card within 2 years. And this is a great thing for people who want to come to America. Well, my idea was slightly simple, different. They were focused on bundling to Chinese. My idea was the Indian community. We have a great relationship in Gainesville. We have a couple of companies in innovation.
You're talking about people of East Indian descent.
They come actually from the Asian continent. And I said to myself, if anybody wants to come to Gainesville, they have a great support system. We have a great Indian community. This is a natural fit for people who want to relocate to America, want to create a business, create other businesses, and bring their friends and relatives. I looked at them as a great opportunity for this community. So I found somebody who specializes in people from India, and they bundle them together and they get a group. And so if we have a good project, I'm looking for the project, I'm looking for the developers to get the money to be able to do these projects. And I think this kind of money is it may go away with this administration, but my understanding is that the president's son-in-law, Mr. Kushner, used it in New Jersey. It is a program that I think will be favored upon. They may change the amount of money, going from $500,000 to $1.3 million or $1.35 million or something like that. But in the long run, that will do the trick.
Well, you know, Gainesville is a welcoming city. We welcome immigration to our community, and so it sounds like this program is a perfect match with the community as a whole. Commissioner, I want to thank you so much for being with us here today, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you about your vision for Gainesville Next.
Thank you.
After the break, we'll take a look at one of the city's most beautiful nature preserves in a segment we like to call Hidden Gems. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the many exciting projects going on in Gainesville as we transform into a new American city. We leave you now with a look at Cross Creek Rising, the latest art exhibit at the historic Thomas Center Galleries, running now through January 6th. Join us again to see what's going on in GNV Next.
We're standing in the middle of Cross Creek Rising, the Consciousness of Land and Water, which celebrates the 75th anniversary of the publication of Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings' Cross Creek and Cross Creek Cookery. This exhibition is inspired by the land and water and natural environment of north central Florida, which was an inspiration for Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings in her book, and is an inspiration for so many regional artists here in North Florida. This exhibition is a juried exhibition of 90 works by 70 artists. They were culled from 300 applications and juried by 4 jurors who are artists, curators, and academics at the university. The exhibit will continue through the first week in January.